The warning. The Galactic Empire was vast, its power stretching across countless star systems. It had crushed every species that dared to stand against it, absorbing their planets and resources into its ever-expanding domain. The Council of Lords, seated in their grand chamber aboard the Imperial flagship, was a gathering of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Their latest topic of discussion was a small, seemingly insignificant planet on the edge of the galaxy, Earth. Humans, one of the lords sneered, leaning back in his chair. Primitive creatures barely out of their caves. They won't stand a chance against our forces. The others chuckled in agreement. To them, Earth was nothing more than another easy conquest, a stepping stone to further expansion. Reports suggested that humans were technologically behind, their space exploration limited to their solar system. No interstellar weapons, no significant fleets, nothing to worry about. But one voice in the chamber urged caution. Admiral Vex, an experienced strategist, raised a hand to silence the laughter. "I recommend we proceed carefully," he said, his voice calm but firm. "Every species we faced thought they had nothing to fear from us. Yet many fought back harder than we anticipated. Humans are different," Lord Kareth scoffed. "They don't even have a unified government. Their planet is fractured into nations that can't even cooperate. What threat could they possibly pose?" Before Admiral Vex could reply, a low hum filled the chamber. A holographic screen flickered to life in the center of the room, displaying an incoming transmission. The source was unknown, but the signal was unmistakably from Earth. "Interesting," the Emperor murmured, his golden eyes narrowing as he gestured for the message to play. The room fell silent as the transmission began. The image was simple, a dark screen with a single figure shrouded in shadows. The voice was calm, measured, and undeniably human. "We know you are coming," the voice said. "We have seen your fleets, your conquests, your arrogance. You think we are weak, easy to crush, but you are wrong." A ripple of discomfort passed through the council. The humans knew about their plans. "How?" "You have one chance," the voice continued. "Do not come. Leave us in peace, and you will be spared. If you proceed, you will regret it. This is your only warning. Run." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the room in stunned silence. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the chamber erupted in laughter. "Is this supposed to intimidate us?" Lord Kareth jeered. "A bluff from a backwater species." "Pathetic," another lord muttered. "They think they can scare us with words." Admiral Vex, however, remained quiet. His sharp mind analyzed the message, noting the confidence in the human's voice. It wasn't the bluster of a desperate species. It was a calculated warning. He couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Earth than met the eye. "Their audacity is amusing," the Emperor finally said, his voice cold and commanding. "But we cannot allow such insolence to go unpunished. Assemble the fleet. We will show these humans the true power of the Empire." Admiral Vex hesitated. "Your Majesty, perhaps we should investigate further before committing our forces. If they've detected our fleet, they may possess technology we are unaware of." The Emperor's gaze hardened. "Are you suggesting we fear them, Admiral?" "Not fear, Your Majesty," Vex replied carefully. "Caution. An underestimation could lead to unnecessary losses." But his words fell on deaf ears. The Council was already preparing for war, their egos too large to entertain the idea of failure. Orders were given, and the Empire's most powerful fleet began its journey to Earth. Far away on the blue planet, humanity was watching. Satellites silently tracked the approaching armada, their presence no secret to Earth's defense network. In underground bunkers and hidden facilities, preparations were underway. The warning had been sent, and the response was predictable. Humanity had hoped the Empire would listen, but deep down, they knew the truth. The Galactic Empire never listened. A lone figure stood in a dark control room, staring at the screen showing the fleet's progress. Their face was stern, their voice calm as they issued the next set of orders. "They're coming," they said to the room full of technicians and strategists. "Begin Phase 1. Let's remind them why no one has conquered Earth before." The countdown began. Humanity wasn't just waiting. They were ready. The fleet's arrival. The Galactic Empire's fleet tore through hyperspace, a shining armada of destruction. Thousands of ships, ranging from sleek fighters to massive capital vessels, moved in perfect formation. Each one carried enough firepower to annihilate a city in seconds. At the center of the fleet was the Emperor's flagship, Eternal Dominion, a colossal behemoth that dwarfed all others, its shadow stretching across the void. Inside the command bridge of the flagship, Fleet Commander Zorath stood with his hands clasped behind his back. He gazed at the holographic map showing their approach to Earth. His face betrayed no emotion, but his confidence radiated through the room. Around him, officers and strategists moved with precision, preparing for the imminent invasion. "Earth is within visual range," an officer reported. "We'll exit hyperspace in 3, 2, 1. The fleet emerged from the shimmering distortion of hyperspace into Earth's orbit. The blue-green planet hung silently against the backdrop of space, its beauty starkly contrasting with the destruction looming above it. The fleet slowed, positioning itself for the first strike. Commander Zorath let out a low chuckle. Is this all they have? A few satellites and outdated space stations. Pathetic. The officers around him laughed in agreement, but Admiral Vex, stationed aboard a smaller ship nearby, wasn't laughing. From his viewport, he studied the planet carefully. There was something unsettling about the stillness. No panic, no scrambling defense forces, just silence. "Something isn't right," Vex muttered to his second-in-command. "It's too quiet." On Earth, the silence was anything but natural. Deep below the surface, in bunkers hidden from view, humanity's brightest minds monitored the situation. Massive screens displayed the Empire's fleet in stunning detail, their advanced optics capturing every ship, every formation. The humans watched without speaking, their focus unbroken. Then, a single voice broke the silence in the command center. "They're in position." The room buzzed to life as technicians worked furiously at their stations. Orders were passed through encrypted channels, activating systems that had never seen the light of day. For decades, Earth had been preparing for this very moment, hiding its true strength from the galaxy. "Activate the cloaking fields," the commander said. "Let them think we're defenseless." Above the planet, the Empire began its invasion. Smaller ships detached from the fleet, descending toward Earth's atmosphere. Their mission was to disable any terrestrial defenses and prepare landing zones for the ground forces. Commander Zorath's voice echoed through the bridge. "Fire a warning shot. Let them see the power of the Empire." A massive beam of energy erupted from one of the fleet's capital ships, aimed at a seemingly empty section of Earth's surface. The beam struck with blinding intensity, but as the light faded, there was nothing. No explosion, no destruction. It was as if the beam had been absorbed by thin air. "What?" Zorath growled, leaning forward. "Report." "Sir," an officer stammered. "The energy dissipated. It's as if it was neutralized." Before Zorath could respond, alarms blared across the fleet. One by one, the Empire's ships began to report critical malfunctions. Weapons systems froze, engines sputtered, and communication lines crackled with static. On the Eternal Dominion, lights flickered as the ship's AI struggled to regain control. "Admiral Vex, are you seeing this?" Zorath barked into his communicator. "Yes," Vex replied, his voice tense. "They've disabled us somehow. This is no accident." Back on Earth, the humans watched the chaos unfold with grim satisfaction. Their leader stood at the center of the command room, arms crossed. "Phase 1 is successful. They're disoriented. Prepare for the counterattack." Above, the Empire's fleet was in disarray. Ships collided as their systems failed, creating a chaotic ballet of destruction. Zorath slammed his fist against the console. What is happening? And then, as if in answer, humanity made its first move. From the dark side of the moon, hidden stations began to fire. Precision strikes targeted the Empire's most vulnerable ships, causing explosions that rippled through the fleet. Aboard his ship, Admiral Vex finally understood. They were never weak, he whispered. They were waiting. The Empire had come expecting an easy victory. What they found instead was humanity's wrath, cold and calculated. The silence was broken, replaced by the sound of destruction. Humanity had spoken in the only language the Empire understood, power. And the battle was just beginning. The first strike. The Galactic Empire's fleet hung in chaos above Earth, its once perfect formation shattered. Ships spiraled out of control, their systems scrambled by an invisible force. On the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, Commander Zorath barked orders, his usual confidence replaced by simmering rage. "Get the systems back online," he roared. "How is this possible? They're just humans." Admiral Vex, aboard his own cruiser, watched the pandemonium unfold. His analytical mind raced as he studied the unfolding events. The humans had neutralized the fleet's advanced systems with precision. This wasn't a fluke, it was a trap. They knew we were coming, Vex murmured to himself, and they prepared for it. Far below, on Earth's surface, humanity's counteroffensive was just beginning. In a hidden command bunker buried deep beneath a mountain, the leader of Earth's defense forces stood before a wall of monitors. Each screen showed a different section of the Empire's fleet, their images overlaid with glowing tactical readouts. "Targets acquired," a technician announced. "Engage," the commander said, their voice calm and unwavering. From the shadows of Earth's orbit, where the Empire hadn't thought to look, human warships decloaked. They were sleek and angular, their surfaces matte black to absorb radar and light. These ships, products of decades of secret development, moved with a deadly grace. Unlike the Empire's vessels, their systems were unaffected by the strange interference crippling the fleet above. The first volley was surgical. High-velocity projectiles, traveling faster than light itself, slammed into key Imperial vessels. Explosions bloomed in the vacuum of space as ships were torn apart, their fragmented remains spiraling into the void. On board the Eternal Dominion, Zorath watched in disbelief as his fleet was systematically dismantled. "Impossible," he muttered. "How can they strike with such precision?" An officer shouted from across the bridge. "Commander, we've identified the origin of the interference. It's coming from..." Their words were cut short as the ship shuddered violently. A human warship had emerged directly behind them, too close for the flagship's defenses to react. The humans weren't just attacking. They were toying with the Empire, testing their responses, learning their weaknesses. "Redirect all firepower," Zorath yelled, but it was too late. The human vessel disappeared just as quickly as it had arrived, leaving the Eternal Dominion damaged and vulnerable. Admiral Vex's voice crackled through the communicator. "Commander, I advise immediate retreat. We're at a severe disadvantage." "Retreat," Zorath snarled. "To flee from primitives. I'll die before I let that happen." But Vex wasn't listening anymore. His eyes were locked on his viewport, where Earth's defenses were revealing themselves in full force. Orbital platforms, hidden among the debris of old satellites, began firing energy beams that sliced through the Empire's remaining ships. On the ground, concealed batteries launched missiles that curved impossibly through space, guided by advanced AI systems to strike with pinpoint accuracy. Back on Earth, the commander allowed a small smile. "They underestimated us," they said quietly. "Now, let's make sure they never forget." A captured Imperial dropship, hijacked by human forces, ascended into the chaos. Its signal went unnoticed by the Empire's scrambled systems until it was too late. The ship crashed into one of the fleet's capital vessels, detonating a massive payload of explosives. The resulting explosion sent shockwaves through the formation, scattering what remained of the Imperial fleet. Inside the Eternal Dominion, panic spread like wildfire. Officers shouted over one another, trying to regain control of their crumbling operation. Zoreth clenched his fists, his mind racing for a way to turn the tide. But there was no strategy that could counter what was happening. "They warned us," Admiral Vex said, his voice breaking the silence. "We should have listened." The humans' warning, delivered with chilling confidence, had not been a bluff. They had the technology, the strategy, and the resolve to challenge the might of the Empire. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Empire was not the predator. It was the prey. As the fleet continued to crumble, humanity's leader issued a final command from Earth. "Phase 2, they said. "Send them a message they'll never forget." Above the planet, human warships advanced toward the remnants of the Imperial fleet, their weapons primed for the decisive blow. A single broadcast was sent to the Empire ships, playing across all frequencies. "You were warned," the message said, the same calm voice as before. "Leave now. Run, or face annihilation." For the first time, the Galactic Empire understood fear, humanity's secret weapon. The once mighty Galactic Empire's fleet was in disarray. Flames and debris drifted through the vacuum of space, a stark contrast to the pristine Earth below. For the first time in centuries, the Empire, which had crushed countless civilizations, found itself outmatched. And humanity wasn't done yet. On board the Eternal Dominion, Commander Zoreth slammed his fist against the console. "This isn't possible. How can a backwater species like this hold us at bay?" Admiral Vex's voice came through the comms, calm but edged with urgency. "Commander, this is no ordinary species. They knew we were coming. They have technology we can't detect. Every move we've made has played into their hands. If we don't retreat now, we risk losing everything." Zoreth growled, but he couldn't argue with what he was seeing. Every attempt to counterattack had been neutralized before it even began. Human ships appeared and disappeared at will, their movements precise and deadly. It was as though the humans could anticipate their every move. The hidden depths of humanity. Far below, deep within Earth's crust, humanity's true strength remained hidden. In massive subterranean complexes that stretched for miles, Earth's leaders observed the battle through holographic displays. They had spent decades preparing for this day, studying the galaxy and its conquerors, while concealing their advancements. The command center buzzed with activity. Analysts monitored every Imperial transmission, decrypting and countering them in real time. Engineers coordinated the deployment of orbital drones, each equipped with advanced AI systems capable of making decisions faster than any living mind. "Status update," the leader demanded, their tone steady but commanding. A technician turned from their console. "The Empire has lost 42% of its fleet. Their flagship's defenses are failing, and their communication systems are compromised." "And the weapon?" the leader asked. "It's ready." The room fell silent. Everyone knew what the weapon meant. It wasn't a missile or a beam. It was something far more terrifying, something humanity had sworn never to use unless there was no other choice. "Deploy it," the leader said after a moment's pause. "Let them see what they've provoked." Unleashing the storm. Back in orbit, the Empire's remaining ships tried to regroup. Zoreth issued desperate orders, directing what little firepower they had left. But before they could act, the stars themselves seemed to shift. From the void emerged dozens of enormous human vessels, previously cloaked in electromagnetic fields that rendered them invisible. These weren't the sleek warships that had been darting around the battlefield. These were carriers, bristling with weaponry and defensive systems. But what truly caught the Empire's attention were the massive spherical devices deployed from their base, humanity's secret weapon. On board his cruiser, Admiral Vex's eyes widened as he studied the objects through his viewport. What are those? The spheres emitted a faint, pulsing light, almost hypnotic in its rhythm. But their purpose became clear moments later. The Empire's ships closest to the spheres suddenly froze. Their engines died, their weapons went offline, and their crews shouted in panic as their systems became completely unresponsive. They're generating some kind of gravitational disruption field. One of Zorath's officers exclaimed. Our ships can't operate within their range. The Empire's fleet was trapped. Ships unable to escape the field floated helplessly, their weapons and shields disabled. The humans, however, remained unaffected. Their warships moved freely within the disrupted space, picking off Imperial vessels one by one. The Empire's realization. This isn't war, Zorath growled, gripping the edge of his console. It's annihilation. They've been toying with us. Admiral Vex spoke through the comms again, his voice grim. Commander, we can't win this. We must retreat. Send the signal to the Emperor. Tell him we've made a grave mistake. Zorath hesitated, his pride and anger warring against the undeniable reality. But before he could respond, a human transmission played across all Imperial channels. You've seen a glimpse of our power, the voice said, calm and measured. We did not want this. We warned you, but you refused to listen. Now, leave. Take what remains of your fleet and go. This is your final chance. The Empire's choice. Zorath clenched his fists, his face a mask of fury. We are the Galactic Empire. We do not run. But Admiral Vex's ship had already begun to retreat. The experienced strategist had seen enough. He knew when a battle was unwinnable, and this was far beyond that. This was a humiliation that would echo through the Empire for centuries. One by one, the surviving Imperial ships turned and fled, their hyperdrives flickering to life. Those that remained, either trapped or too damaged to retreat, were left to their fates. On Earth, the leader of humanity watched the retreating fleet with a quiet sense of satisfaction. Stand down, they ordered. Let them run. What if they come back? A young officer asked. They won't, the leader replied, their gaze fixed on the stars. Not after what they've seen. But if they do, we'll be ready. Humanity had revealed only a fraction of its true power, just enough to send a message. They were not conquerors, nor did they seek war. But if provoked, they would defend themselves with a fury the galaxy had never seen. And as the Empire fled, licking its wounds, it carried with it a chilling realization. Earth was not just another planet. Humanity was not just another species. They were something far more dangerous, a force that the galaxy would do well to leave in peace. The Empire's desperation. The Galactic Empire's fleet limped back into hyperspace, battered and broken. For the first time in its history, the Empire had tasted defeat, not at the hands of a sprawling interstellar coalition, but a single planet. The retreat was a mark of shame, but the real humiliation came from the knowledge that the humans had barely exerted themselves. In the grand halls of the Imperial Palace on Eltharion Prime, the Emperor sat in his obsidian throne, the air heavy with tension. The Council of Lords was silent, their arrogance shattered. The emergency transmission from Admiral Vex had been damning. It wasn't just a loss, it was a humiliation. They outmaneuvered us. Vex's recorded voice played. They predicted our every move, neutralized our technology, and struck with precision. Their capabilities are far beyond what we anticipated. They are not to be underestimated. The Emperor's piercing gaze swept across the room. What do we know about these humans? He demanded. Lord Kareth, once the loudest voice of ridicule, now spoke with hesitation. They possess technology we cannot detect, methods we cannot counter. We thought they were primitive, but it appears they have spent decades, perhaps centuries, developing in secret. Then why haven't they conquered the stars themselves? The Emperor asked coldly. Vex's transmission provided the answer. Because they've been watching, observing, preparing. They've learned from every mistake made by every species we've crushed. They didn't expand because they didn't need to. They've mastered the art of war without fighting it. Until now. The room fell silent again. For the first time, the council felt the chill of fear, a desperate gamble. The emperor rose from his throne. "We cannot allow this to stand," he declared. "If the galaxy learns that a single planet forced us to retreat, our reign is over. We must strike back." Lord Kareth, emboldened by the emperor's resolve, nodded. A second invasion. Larger, more calculated. But Admiral Vex, now present via hologram, shook his head. A larger fleet will only meet the same fate. Numbers mean nothing against a foe that can neutralize our systems. We need to understand how they did it. The Emperor's brow furrowed. "What do you suggest, Admiral?" "A covert operation," Vex said. "A small team, equipped with our most advanced stealth technology. If we can infiltrate Earth, gather intelligence, and identify their weaknesses, we may have a chance to turn the tide." The Emperor considered this, then nodded. "Do it. Select your team and depart immediately." Behind enemy lines, Admiral Vex assembled his team carefully. They were the Empire's finest operatives, spies, engineers, and tacticians, each trained in stealth and sabotage. Their mission was simple but perilous: infiltrate Earth, uncover the source of humanity's power, and escape undetected. Equipped with prototype cloaking suits and null energy drives, their small ship slipped through hyperspace, avoiding human detection systems. Or so they thought. As they approached Earth, the operatives marveled at its beauty. Unlike the barren, industrialized worlds of the Empire, Earth was vibrant and alive. Its oceans sparkled in the sunlight, its land covered in lush greenery. But beneath the surface, they knew, lay the deadliest defenses they had ever encountered. "Stay sharp," Vex instructed over the comms. "If they detect us, this mission is over." The ship entered Earth's atmosphere without incident, cloaked from radar and thermal imaging. They landed in a remote mountain range, far from any visible infrastructure. The operatives moved swiftly, their suits blending seamlessly with the environment. Discovering the truth. The team's first objective was to locate the source of the gravitational disruption fields that had crippled the fleet. Using advanced scanners, they traced the energy signatures to an unassuming valley. There, hidden beneath layers of natural rock, was a massive underground complex. "This must be it," one operative whispered. Their command center. They descended into the valley, bypassing the outer defenses with their cloaking technology. As they entered the complex, they were struck by its scale. Halls of gleaming metal stretched in every direction, filled with machines and displays far beyond anything the Empire had ever seen. "What is this place?" another operative muttered. They found their answer in the heart of the facility. A massive chamber housed a towering machine, pulsating with energy. It was surrounded by engineers and scientists, their movements precise and deliberate. "It's a gravitational manipulator," one of the operatives realized. "But this is centuries ahead of anything we've developed." Vex's voice crackled in their earpieces. "Can you extract its schematics?" Before they could answer, alarms blared. Lights flashed red, and the operatives froze as a calm voice echoed through the facility. "Attention, intruders. We know you are here. Surrender now, and you will not be harmed." The trap. The operatives moved quickly, retreating toward their ship. But the humans were faster. Automated drones, sleek and silent, appeared from the walls, cutting off their escape routes. The operatives fought back, their advanced weaponry firing bursts of plasma. But the drones adapted, countering their every move. Back on the Eternal Dominion, Vex listened to the operatives' final transmission. "It's a trap," one of them gasped. "They knew we were coming. They let us in." The transmission ended with a chilling silence. Humanity's message. Hours later, a new transmission reached the Empire. It was from the humans. "You sent your spies to steal our secrets," the calm voice said. "Now you understand. There is no weakness to exploit, no advantage to gain. You cannot win this war. Leave us in peace, or the next time we meet, there will be no retreat." The Emperor clenched his fists, fury and fear warring within him. The humans had turned their desperation into a lesson. And the lesson was clear. The Galactic Empire had finally met its match. The turning point. The Galactic Empire's throne world, Altharian Prime, buzzed with whispers of defeat and betrayal. The failed covert operation and humanity's latest transmission had rippled through the upper echelons of power. For the first time in centuries, the invincible empire had been humbled. The Emperor, sitting in his darkened chambers, seethed with rage. "We cannot retreat into the shadows like cowards," he declared to the assembled council. "If humanity refuses to bow, we will annihilate them." "But how, Your Majesty?" Admiral Vex's voice broke through the murmurs. Present via hologram, his calm demeanor hid the weight of his words. "They've neutralized every weapon we've sent against them. They've countered every tactic. They've turned our might into weakness." The Emperor's golden eyes burned as he stood. "Then we unleash what has never failed us." The council stilled. They knew what he meant. The Cataclysm Protocol, a weapon so destructive it had been used only once, to obliterate an entire star system as a warning to rebellious colonies. It wasn't just a weapon. It was the embodiment of the Empire's merciless power. Earth prepares. Far away on Earth, humanity watched the Empire's movements with quiet intensity. The advanced AI systems buried deep in Earth's hidden bunkers intercepted Imperial communications, piecing together fragments of the plan. The humans quickly understood the gravity of the situation. "They're bringing something we haven't seen before," the commander of Earth's defense forces said, standing before a glowing tactical map of the galaxy. "Something devastating." "How much time do we have?" asked a young analyst. "Not enough," the commander replied grimly. "But it doesn't matter. We don't need time. We need precision." The room buzzed with activity. Humanity's greatest minds worked together, calculating trajectories, simulating countermeasures, and preparing for the arrival of the Empire's most feared weapon. Every move the Empire made was monitored, every action dissected. Earth's defenses weren't just physical. They were cerebral, a battlefield of intellect and strategy. "We've been waiting for this," the commander said. "Let's show them why they should have stayed away." The Cataclysm arrives. The Imperial fleet returned, this time smaller in number but deadlier in intent. At its center was the Revenant, a colossal ship unlike any other. Its hull was black as the void, bristling with conduits that pulsed with an eerie crimson glow. Inside its core was the Cataclysm Protocol, a device designed to collapse planetary ecosystems, rendering worlds uninhabitable for millennia. From the bridge of the Revenant, the Emperor himself stood, gazing down at Earth. His voice echoed through the ship. "Today we end this defiance," he said. "Today we remind the galaxy of the Empire's absolute power." The fleet descended, shields raised, weapons primed. But Earth was waiting. The unseen power. As the fleet approached, the skies above Earth shimmered. What the Empire thought was a natural atmosphere was revealed to be a planetary defense system, unlike anything they had encountered. Invisible barriers activated, dispersing energy and redirecting incoming fire. Human warships uncloaked in strategic positions, weaving through the fleet with surgical precision. But this time, they didn't strike first. Humanity had learned that the key to defeating the Empire wasn't brute force, it was control. In the command center, the leader gave a single order: engage the override. Far above, humanity's secret weapon came to life. It wasn't a traditional weapon. It was a technology that targeted the very systems that powered the Empire's fleet. The Revenant, for all its might, faltered. Its glowing conduits flickered, the energy of the Cataclysm Protocol stuttering. The Emperor's eyes widened in disbelief as his ultimate weapon was rendered useless. "What is happening?" he demanded. "They've breached our systems." An officer cried. They're rewriting the protocols." The Emperor's fury boiled over. Destroy them. Use every resource we have. But his commands were met with silence. The human override had spread through the fleet like wildfire, turning the Empire's weapons against itself. Ships began firing on one another, their crews powerless to stop it. The Empire's mighty fleet crumbled from within. The final message. On Earth, the humans watched as the battle played out exactly as they had planned. The Empire had come expecting a war of strength, but humanity had fought with intelligence, precision, and strategy. The leader turned to the communications officer. Send the message. Across all frequencies, a calm, familiar voice echoed through the galaxy. You came to destroy us, but we've only defended ourselves. You believed in your superiority, yet you underestimated the power of resilience, knowledge, and unity. This is your last warning. Do not return. The next time, there will be no mercy. The Emperor's dilemma. On board the shattered Revenant, the Emperor sat in silence, surrounded by the wreckage of his ambitions. His once unshakable confidence had been replaced by doubt. The humans hadn't just defeated his fleet, they had humiliated the Empire. Admiral Vex's voice broke through the silence. Your Majesty, this war is over. If we continue, we risk losing everything. The Emperor's jaw clenched. For the first time, he faced a choice he had never considered: surrender or risk the complete collapse of his empire. He stood, his gaze fixed on the glowing blue planet below. Retreat, he ordered. This is not the end. A quiet victory. The remnants of the Empire's fleet vanished into hyperspace, leaving Earth untouched. In the command bunker, humanity's leader watched the departure with a mixture of relief and resolve. They'll be back, someone said. Yes, the leader replied. But next time, they won't underestimate us, and next time, we'll be even stronger. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. Humanity was no longer a quiet observer. They were a force to be reckoned with. The aftermath. The Galactic Empire's retreat was a silence that rippled across the galaxy. News of Earth's victory spread like wildfire, carried by whispers, rumors, and intercepted Imperial transmissions. For the first time, the galaxy's most feared conquerors had been brought to their knees, not by a sprawling federation of advanced species, but by a single defiant planet. The Empire reels. On Altharian Prime, the Emperor stood alone in the Grand Chamber, staring at the holographic display of Earth. His council had scattered, too afraid to face his wrath. Even Admiral Vex, usually a calm presence, kept his distance. They humiliated us, the Emperor growled. A single planet, one insignificant species, has tarnished the legacy of the Empire. Vex's hologram flickered into view. It wasn't luck, Your Majesty. The humans are unlike any species we've encountered. They've turned every disadvantage into an advantage. They studied us long before we knew they existed. The Emperor's voice was icy. And what do you suggest? That we simply let them stand unchallenged? No, Vex replied. But we must approach them differently. This is not a war of ships and weapons. It's a war of minds. If we are to defeat them, we must first understand them. The Emperor considered this, his anger simmering beneath the surface. For now, the Empire would lick its wounds, but the thought of leaving Earth unchecked gnawed at him. His pride wouldn't allow it. Earth's celebration. On Earth, the mood was cautiously optimistic. Across the planet, people celebrated the victory, their fears of annihilation giving way to hope and unity. Cities that had once been divided by borders now lit up with shared joy. For the first time in centuries, humanity stood as one. In the underground command bunker, however, the tone was far more subdued. The leader of Earth's defense forces stood before a wall of data streams, their expression unreadable. Status report, they said. The Empire has retreated beyond our range, an officer replied. They left in disarray, but they'll regroup. And the fleet, fully operational. Repairs are underway, and upgrades are being implemented based on their tactics. The leader nodded, their gaze distant. They'll be back. This wasn't a victory. It was a warning shot. They won't underestimate us again. Revealing the hidden hand. The commander moved to a separate chamber, where a smaller, more secretive council awaited. These were humanity's unseen protectors. The scientists, strategists, and visionaries who had quietly built the defenses that saved the planet. "We succeeded," one of them said, "but we revealed more of our hand than I'd hoped." Another nodded. The gravitational disruptors, the stealth fleets, even the override protocols. They've seen too much. Next time, they'll come prepared. The leader leaned forward. Then we adapt. Humanity has always thrived in the face of adversity. Let the Empire bring their best. We'll be ready. From a secure vault, a new project was unveiled. Holograms displayed designs for weapons, ships, and technologies far beyond anything humanity had yet deployed. The message was clear. Earth's victory was just the beginning of its rise. The galaxy watches. Elsewhere in the galaxy, species that had once feared the Empire found new courage. Resistance movements, once crushed under the Empire's boot, began to stir. If Earth could fight back, why couldn't they? Messages began flooding Earth's encrypted channels. Some were offers of alliances, others desperate pleas for protection. Humanity, long an enigma to the galaxy, was now a symbol of defiance. But Earth's leaders remained cautious. "We cannot stretch ourselves too thin," the commander warned. "Our priority is survival. Let them see us as a beacon of hope, but we cannot become their saviors. Not yet." The Empire's plot. Back on Altharian Prime, the Emperor met with his inner circle in secret. Gone was the bravado of the council chambers. These were the shadows where the Empire's darkest strategies were born. "We'll rebuild the fleet," the Emperor said, his voice low and dangerous, stronger than before. "But brute force won't be enough." A hooded figure stepped forward, a master of the Empire's clandestine operations. "If we cannot break their defenses," the figure whispered, "we'll break their will. Divide them. Turn them against one another." The Emperor's lips curled into a cruel smile. "Yes, let them crumble from within. And when the time comes, we'll strike the killing blow." Humanity's resolve. On Earth, the leader of the defense forces stood on a balcony overlooking a bustling city. Despite the celebrations below, their thoughts were far from joyous. "They're regrouping," the leader said softly, as if speaking to the wind. "But so are we." Behind them, an advisor stepped forward. "Do you think we can win when they come back?" The leader turned, their gaze steady. "We didn't win because of luck or advanced weapons. We won because of who we are. Resilient, adaptable, united. If they come again, we'll remind them of that." As the stars twinkled above, Earth's hidden defenses hummed to life once more. Humanity wasn't just preparing for war. They were preparing for a future where they would no longer be prey. For now, Earth stood as a symbol of defiance. But soon, it would stand as a power that even the galaxy's greatest empire would fear to challenge. And in the void of space, a single human message continued to echo. "You were warned. Do not return."